Okay, ladies and gentlemen, time for another exciting episode of Coin Roll Hunting. Today is Saturday, January 30th, 2021. This is Season 4, Episode number 4, and the subject today is the 50 state and U.S. territories quarter. So join us as we explore the 50 states and the U.S. territories Washington quarter in the world's most exciting hobby. So there's our 50 state District of Columbia and territorial quarter folder, the Whitman coin folder. We're looking at that. But first, I want to do this short presentation on the 50 state quarters. Now, I've identified here 6 different types of Washington quarters. The first one was the silver Washington quarter, which was 1932 to 1964. And that was 90% silver. And then in 1965, they came out with the nickel-clad Washington quarter. We talked about that the last time. And that ran from 1965 to 1998. And one of those years, 2 of those years, they came out with the bicentennial quarter, 75 and 76, which was also nickel-clad copper. And then they came out in 1999, they came out with the 50 state quarters. So it turns out that that they decided to pass this Act of Congress called the 50 States Commemorative Coin Program Act. And the reason was to provide for a 10-year circulating coin program to commemorate each of the 50 states and for other purposes. I'll just show you what this thing looks like here. So there's the actual Act of Congress. There's Public Law 105-124. It was signed into law on December 1st, 1997. And you can see it's got the front there says to provide for 10-year circulating commemorative coin. Just scroll down here a little bit, show you a little bit what's in that thing. There was another section called Findings here, and there's a total of 4 different sections in this act. But what they did was they decided to have 5 states per year for 10 years, so it would run from 1999 to 2008. And they would be issued in the order of the state's entry into the Union. And the reason they gave was to promote knowledge among youths about individual states, their history, the geography, and the national heritage. And I've just summarized here what these sections were. We won't read the whole thing, but they had 6 sections. And the first section was called the short title, and it just gave a name to the act. In other words, the 50 States Commemorative Coin Program Act, so that people could refer to it with the proper terminology. Second was called Findings. That's where they gave the reason for the act. And the third section had to do with issuance of redesigned quarter dollars over a 10-year period commemorating each of the 50 states. And this describes what the coins were supposed to look like and how they would be issued. That's the main part of the act. There was another part, the fourth part here, section 4. Actually, it was a totally different subject. Had to do the United States dollar coin. And it was called the United States $1 Coin Act of 1997. And this authorized the Susan B. Anthony $1 coin. But we're not going to look at that today. That's a different subject. And Section 5 was the rule of construction. Basically said the dollar coin was not to replace the dollar bill. And Section 6 was another coin, totally a different subject, the first flight commemorative coins. And they were going to issue some gold and silver commemorative coins. Now, just a little bit more information about this coins. After 2008, that was the end of the state quarters. But they decided in 2007 they wanted to have it go include the District of Columbia and the U.S. territories. So in 2007, they signed in some new legislation that included the remaining 6 U.S. jurisdictions. And those were, number 1, the District of Columbia. There were 2 Commonwealths, Puerto Rico and Northern Mariana Islands. There was 3 territories, Guam, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and American Samoa. Now, this might be good for you to memorize this, so you can know what the 6 territories of the United States they want to include, because they're talking about actually making these states at some point. They might actually be make them states, and they would have representatives in Congress, and they would have each would have 2 senators. So that's again, it's like D.C., Puerto Rico, and Northern Mariana Islands, Guam, U.S. Virgin Islands, and American Samoa. Now, here's just a little bit of information about the metrics. It's exactly the same as the nickel-clad Copper quarter came out in 1965. Absolutely no difference. And it's mostly copper with some nickel. And its melt value is about 5 cents. So it's worth a quarter. These things aren't worth any great amount of money or anything. And next thing I want to do is show you the mintage figures. And this is worth looking at here because they issued them in the order they became a state. So in 1999, they did the first 5 states that ratified the Constitution. And the very first one was Delaware, which ratified the Constitution in 1787. So they got the honor of being the first coin that was issued. And then Pennsylvania and New Jersey followed in 1787, and then Georgia and Connecticut in 1788. And then in 2000, they did the next 5 states: Massachusetts, Maryland, South Carolina, New Hampshire, and Virginia. And these all joined the Union in 1788. They ratified the Constitution in that year. And then in 2001, we got the next 5 states: New York, North Carolina, Rhode Island, Vermont, and Kentucky. And the first 3 there was the last 3 that ratified the Constitution: New York, North Carolina, Rhode Island. That was in 1788, 1789, 1790. Vermont actually joined after the Union was formed. There was the 14th state in 1791, followed by Kentucky in 1792. The mint then issued in 2002 Tennessee, Ohio, Louisiana, Indiana, Mississippi. And that was from 1796 to 1817 is when they joined the Union. And we move on to 2003. They issued Illinois, Alabama, Maine, Missouri, and Arkansas. And they joined the Union from between 1818 and 1836. And then in 2004, Michigan, Florida, Texas, Iowa, and Wisconsin joined the Union between 1837 and 1848. Now you can always remember that Texas joined the Union in 1845. Just maybe you want to think of like a Colt 45 pistol. And it's interesting that Florida also joined in 1845. And then we move on to 2005. We have California, Minnesota, Oregon, Kansas, and West Virginia. And that was from 1850 to 1863. And California was also easy to remember. If you recall, there was the San Francisco 49ers, the football team. They were named after the gold miners in 1849. So the very next year, in 1850, they made California a state. And in 2006, Nevada, Nebraska, Colorado, and North and South Dakota joined the Union. And that was from 1864 to 1867. In fact, I just happen to have here a coin I'll show you here. This is a design. I forgot to mention this, that the design of the state quarters, they took the date is not shown on the front of the coin, but if I flip it over here, it's actually shown on the rear of the coin. So there is Nevada, which was issued in 2006. They joined the Union. See, it says 1864. It says it right on the coin. And it's also called the Silver State. So you get a lot of information on these coins here. You can learn a lot about history. So that was 2006. And then we move on to 2007. We got Montana, Washington, Idaho, Wyoming, and Utah. And that was in the 1890s, basically. From 1889 to 1896, those states joined the Union. And then in 2008, we got the states that joined in the 20th century, starting with Oklahoma in 1907, then New Mexico and Arizona in 1912. And they were the states number 47, 48. For a long time, there was only 48 states. And then in 1959, Alaska and Hawaii joined the Union and became 50 states. So that was the end of the 50-state quarter program. But then they did in 2009, the District of Columbia and Territories quarters. So they started with D.C. and then Puerto Rico, Guam, American Samoa, U.S. Virgin Islands, and North American Islands. I've also included here the mintage figures. And I'll just go back to the first page here, the first 1999. You notice that there were like 400,000 they started with for each coin. By the time they got to Connecticut, they had 688 million coins issued from each mint. Massachusetts has a lot. Maryland has a lot. New Hampshire had a lot. Virginia had a real lot, 943 from the Philadelphia Mint alone. And then if you jump over here to the terror show, you see they're only down to like, 53, 45 million, 42 million, even 35 million for North American islands. That's why it's hard to find these. You don't find them too often. They're kind of hard to come by. So anyway, that's our presentation. Now we'll move on to our coin roll hunt. Okay, so we're ready for the coin roll hunt. So I'm just going to put down my state quarters book. This is my smaller book. This book only has each state, one coin for each state. It doesn't have the P's and the D's separate. So I just open it up here. And you can see here that this book is pretty well filled up. I got most of the book, most of the coins. I'm only missing Mississippi, Michigan, and Oklahoma as far as the state quarters, and I have as far as the territory quarters, I have District of Columbia already and Puerto Rico. I'm just missing Guam, American Samoa, U.S. Virgin Islands, and Northern Mariana Islands. So we'll see if we could find those today. So here's our jar of quarters. I've been saving these quarters for my change. I didn't go to the bank and get any rolls of quarters or anything. This is just change I got from buying stuff in stores. And I've been sorting them out between the different types of quarters as I get them. Let me just dump them out here. And we'll see how this looks. So here's a close-up of the quarters. These are the ones we're going to be searching through. There's not that many, but we're only looking for 7 coins. And hopefully we'll find some of them. And we're not going to search them on the camera. It takes a little too long. So we'll be back in like maybe a couple hours and see how this came out. So we searched in a jar of coins, and here's our results. You see we got a whole bunch of coins from the earlier years. Here's like New Jersey, we've got New Georgia, a bunch of them. Got a bunch of New Hampshires and Virginia and New Yorks. So you get a lot from the early years because remember the mintage was very high for those years. But we did manage to find the Mississippi that we were looking for. So there's one ad for the book. And we got a handful of coins from the middle years. We did not get Michigan. And we got some in the back end here. In 2006 we got Oklahoma. Well, 2008 Oklahoma. And we got New Mexico, we got Arizona. It was 2000. Remember that was 1912 they joined the Union. We got Alaska and Hawaii, which is 1959 they joined the Union. And we also got the District of Columbia. But we didn't get our other 4 coins that we were looking for the this territories. So we managed to add Missouri 2002. So I'm going to do is just put that under the microscope. So let me go to the 2-shot here. Oh, and by the way, I got here as a placeholder. This happens to be a Bermuda coin, and it's a 25-cent Bermuda coin. It's exactly the same size as a quarter as diameter goes. I think it might be a little thicker. And it's a 2003, 25 cents. So anyway, I'll go and get the, I'll transport the Missouri quarter over here. So there's the Mississippi 1817 quarter. It's a 2002. We managed to find. I'll just blow it up here. So that's it there. It's called the Magnolia State. Again, they entered the Union in 1817. And that was our ad for today. So that's the coin roll hunt for today. We had a pretty good search. We ended up finding just one new one, but we only needed 7, so now I have like 6 to go in this set here. So happy hunting, and keep on stacking those silvery coins.